With the release of Digital Hazard in the Digimon TCG, I think it's a great time to revisit the anime that inspired the set, Digimon Season 3 Tamers. Tamers isn't set in the same world as Digimon Seasons 1 and 2, but it's more similar to reality, and some of the events in the show are caused by events that actually happened. Tamers follows the adventures of Takato Matsuki, Henry Wong, and Rika Nonaka as they bond with their Digimon, grow as people, and ultimately fight to protect both the digital and human worlds. Takato's your quintessential daydreaming young protagonist type who has little attention span for school and spends most, if not all, of his time daydreaming about Digimon. One day, Takato finds the mysterious blue card mixed in with his Digimon trading cards, and after scanning it with his card scanner, the scanner turns into a Digivice with a growing Digi-Egg inside. This leads him into witnessing his first Digimon battle, and then soon after, he meets his own Digimon partner, Guilmon, who looks exactly like the Digimon Takato was doodling in his notepad. Guilmon is a red bipedal lizard-type Digimon who looks like Agumon with attitude. Despite his imposing appearance, Guilmon's personality is a mix of a young child and a puppy. He's generally friendly to everyone he meets, and most of his actions are spurred by either curiosity or hunger.
Why are you burying your dinner?
Because then I get to dig it up later and eat it.
Unless he senses a Digimon, that is.
There's nothing there.
Rika Nonaka, a tomboyish girl around Takato's age, at this point is already bashing around Digimon with her partner, Renamon. Rika, in contrast to Takato, is headstrong and confident. She mercilessly orders Renamon to stomp out any Digimon they encounter and then download their data. Renamon is a yellow bipedal fox Digimon. Renamon's personality is reminiscent of a hunter or a samurai. She really enjoys battle and follows Rika's orders to the letter.
Share your strength with me and we will be unstoppable.
Henry Wong rounds out our trio of Tamers and brings with him a level-headed maturity that the others lack. Despite being a skilled martial artist, Henry is a pacifist and actively discourages his partner Terriermon from fighting.
Nothing's up. I just don't want you to fight, okay?
Terriermon is a small mammal-like Digimon with long ears. In fact, unlike Rika and Renamon, who are often of the same mind, Henry and Terriermon are like polar opposites. Terriermon has a mischievous personality and often pokes fun at others without exception.
It's not very smart to mouth off to someone bigger than you.
And beneath its small stature lies the heart of a fighter, which causes it to go overboard in battle from time to time. But why am I reminding you of these characters in this story? That's because EX-2 Digital Hazard just dropped, and now you can play a deck that's inspired by the Tamers and Digimon from the show. Starting with Takato and Guilmon, we get an aggressive red deck that's focused around deleting your opponent's weaker Digimon. But if that's all it did, it would be a very generic red deck, and not a Takato and Guilmon deck. In the show, Takato had a hard time when Guilmon first digivolved into Growlmon, and they couldn't figure out how to de-digivolve him. As the show progresses, Guilmon and Takato's bond allows him to be able to digivolve back and forth into Growlmon, War Growlmon, Gallantmon, and even Dark Digivolve into Megidramon. The Takato Tamer card lets you stay aggressive as you digivolve into each successive form by giving your Growlmons and Gallantmons the Blitz ability. This lets them attack even if you pass turn by digivolving. Furthermore, Takato will even give you memory when an opponent's Digimon is deleted. This sets up a very aggressive strategy that doesn't have to choose between controlling the board and digivolving. The best part about this deck is you can utilize much of the Red and Gallantmon support previously released in Star Deck 7 and past boosters. The Rika and Renamon deck leans into Rika's skill as a Digimon Tamer and as a player of the in-universe Digimon card game. Before becoming a Tamer, Rika was a champion of the card game and was even called the Digimon Queen. Leaning into this, the Renamon card and her evolutions, Cubimon, Taomon, and Sakuyamon, search for and play for free the plug-in option cards. The plugins are a group of 2-cost option cards inspired by the cards the Tamers use to augment their Digimon's abilities in battle. You know those cool scenes where they yell, "Digi-modify!" Yeah, that. Each card is a different color, but if you have a Tamer in play, you can ignore their color requirement. High-speed plugin D gives your Digimon the jamming ability, offensive plugin A gives your Digimon security attack +1, and Digivolution plugin S lets you Digivolve for free. Any Tamer can use these cards, but Rika can use them more aggressively and efficiently. The goal of this deck is to quickly Digivolve into Sakuyamon with Rika Nonaka in play, to use multiple plugins in quick succession, and then use Sakuyamon's abilities to reduce opposing Digimon's DP down to 0 and delete them. added fun, you can even include past Renamon support cards that hurt your opponent's ability to hit your security. The Henry and Terriermon deck is a testament to Henry's desire to avoid fights, and Terriermon's will to fight anyway. Henry learned martial arts from a young age, but due to injuring another kid, he tried not to put his skills to use. Upon overcoming this hang-up, Henry and Terriermon became a formidable duo in battle.
Moment time.
The deck takes inspiration from this by suspending opposing Digimon so they can be deleted in battle, or suspending them and not letting them unsuspend. Further capitalizing on all the suspending, Mega Gargomon, Terriermon's Mega form, can return a suspended Digimon to the hand without even having to battle it. Just like the last two decks, Terriermon has older support cards you can mix into the deck, most notably its armor form from the Digimon movie Golden Rapidmon. These are the ones you know, but you may not be too familiar with the next two Digimon and Tamer teams because their stories develop further in the series. We'll start with Ryo Akiyama and Cyberdramon. Ryo was an old rival of Rika's back in her card-playing days. His partner Cyberdramon is an ultimate-level cyborg dragon-type Digimon with a vicious personality. Cyberdramon's temperament required constant attention from Ryo, and the deck's constant searching for Tamers reflects that. Cyberdramon needed Ryo's direction, so the card can't even attack a player's security unless you have a Tamer in play. Cyberdramon's a real headache to deal with, but its Mega Evolution Justimon makes up for it and capitalizes on all the excess Tamer cards you're sure to have. Justimon's appearance is a clear homage to the masked Japanese hero Kamen Rider. His special ability is his right arm that can change into 3 forms: Blitz Arm, Excel Arm, and the Critical Arm. The arm mechanic is translated into Justimon Blitz Arms on Digivolve effect, where it can either gain DP, unsuspend itself, or delete an opposing Digimon. How does this make use of all those Tamer cards? Well, its when attacking effect lets you choose to use any one of those abilities for each Tamer card you have in play. And while there isn't any past Cyberdramon support to use with this deck, it does encourage and reward you for using black Tamers from previous sets in addition to Ryo. This next one is a favorite of mine, and probably the entire reason I still love Digimon today.
If they don't change, they're gonna pay, cause Immon's plan is underway.
It's the Tamers I Am Mako and their partner, Impmon. Impmon looks exactly what he sounds like and has the personality to match. If you didn't get very far in the series, you might not know that the mischievous and antagonistic Impmon actually did have a Tamer, or Tamers. I Am Mako are twin Tamers who met their partner at just 4 years old. And as expected of 4-year-olds, they fought over everything, including Impmon himself. Impmon got fed up with their bickering and struck out on his own, deciding he doesn't need humans. However, since he abandoned his partners, Impmon was unable to Digivolve. So, he made a deal to sacrifice the few friends he had left in order to warp Digivolve into the mighty Beelzemon. The deck's self-mill strategy can be interpreted as Impmon throwing away everything in order to Digivolve.
If I do, then you'll make me as strong as I want, right?
Certain cards, when sent from the deck to the trash, activate effects like gaining memory, deleting a Digimon, and playing Impmons for free. Then, the gun-toting Beelzemon himself can delete Digimon depending on how many cards you have in trash. This type of self-destructive strategy is right up the old Impmon's alley. But after he reconciled with his partners, Impmon gained the ability to Digivolve once more into Beelzemon Blast Mode.
Feels pretty good when you got someone to fight for. Hey, who knew?
The Beelzemon Blast Mode card requires a hefty cost of 6 to Digivolve into, but the I Am Mako Tamer card allows you to Digivolve into it using a Beelzemon for half that. And with his even bigger gun, he can delete even more Digimon and put the game away with extra security attacks. Be sure to include the older Impmon and Beelzemon cards into your deck for more aggression and consistency. That covers all the Tamer-led strategies in EX-2. My favorite thing about these strategies is they epitomize the bonds between the Tamers and their Digimon. They require that you play their Tamers, and having duplicates of those Tamers can accelerate your plays and make them even more devastating. But there is one more strategy I want to talk about, and it's the last one because of how game-breaking it is. If you've watched all of Tamers and you already know what this deck will be, it's the D-Reaper strategy led by Mother D-Reaper itself. The D-Reaper was a digital life form that was meant to delete excess data. It remained asleep beneath the digital world for years until awakened by all the new data that entered because of Digivolution. And once it woke, It just started to do exactly what it's programmed to do. It's important to note that the D-Reaper is not a Digimon, so it doesn't abide by the same rules. With that in mind, D-Reaper cards don't have levels, and Mother D-Reaper is treated as a Digitama, but it can be moved out of the raising area because it has a DP value. In the show, the D-Reaper was impervious to all human weapons, and only the strongest of Digimon could even resist it. That's why the Mother D-Reaper card is unaffected by all of your opponent's effects. But the Mother D-Reaper doesn't take action itself. It sends its agents to do the dirty work. The ADRs, or Agent D-Reapers, have a myriad of effects that allow you to defend yourself and attack your opponent. But the most important of them is the ADR-02 Searcher. Searcher was Mother Reaper's primary information gathering agent and was typically sent in large groups. To that end, you are allowed to play up to 50 Searchers in a legal Digimon deck. It will draw a card when played, but can't attack your opponent. The goal of the deck is to use Mother D-Reaper and your many agents' effects to stick at least 7 Searchers underneath your Mother D-Reaper as the Digivolution source. Then play the Reaper, D-Reaper's final form, and reduce its play cost of 20 down to 0 by trashing those 7 Searchers. It can absorb the discarded Searchers from your trash and unsuspend itself after every attack to quickly deal with whatever is left of your opponent's security. I think this is an excellent example of how the D-Reaper looked to absorb data and use it to destroy life in both the digital and human worlds. There aren't really any past support cards for the D-Reaper deck, but many players have seen success combining a deck with yellow cards for recovery and black cards for board control. Tamers, like most Digimon seasons, has lots of Digivolution, but what sets it apart is how we watch the Tamers grow alongside their partners. While the card game can't perfectly replicate that, I was impressed with how much thought went into making these strategies revolve around both the Digimon and their Tamers. As a huge fan of the Digimon franchise, I really enjoyed researching and rewatching this series, and now I want to build all the decks. A couple questions before I go. Which of these strategies are you interested in playing? And what was your opinion on Digimon Tamers as a whole? Anyway, that's all I got for you guys.
My sovereign, your generosity and wisdom are without bounds. Thank you.
Thanks, Schuster. It's been real.
Pass turn.